Midnight. A quiet strip of restaurants, the last few cars pulling out of a parking lot. A man walks out of a bar, keys in hand, still laughing at something his friend said. He stops. The space where his car was parked is empty. He turns in a slow circle, like the car might just be standing somewhere else, waiting for him to notice his mistake. It isn't. Then he sees it. A small metal sign bolted to a light pole, half hidden behind a tree branch. Unauthorized vehicles will be towed at owner's expense. He never read it. Nobody reads it. It's just part of the scenery, like a speed limit sign you stop seeing after the 100th drive down the same road. One phone call. 20 minutes later, headlights sweep across the lot. A flatbed backs in, chains rattle, hydraulics hiss. His car rises off the ground like it weighs nothing at all and disappears into the dark. The next morning, he walks into an impound lot behind a chain-link fence, rows of cars lined up like patients in a waiting room. His car is there, but the bill in his hand is bigger than he expected, not because someone did anything wrong, because he never understood what he was actually paying for. You thought you were paying for a tow. The tow may have been the smallest part of the business, because once a vehicle enters this system, there's a whole world of charges, contracts, and business relationships that most drivers never see, until the night their car disappears. And that is where the towing business gets interesting. Here's what most people picture when they think about how a tow company makes money. Truck shows up, hooks up a car, drives it somewhere, gets paid. Simple. But that's the storefront. It's not the business. Emergency towing for a broken-down car on the highway is a different transaction than towing a car off private property. Both are different from police-requested towing after an accident. And all three are different again from a company running scheduled pickups for a commercial fleet. Same truck, same driver maybe, completely different economics underneath. The tow truck is the storefront. The real business is everything happening behind it. Pricing itself is a moving target. Depending on the market, a tow can cost more or less based on the size of the vehicle, the distance traveled, the time of day, how complicated the recovery is, and what local regulations allow. In some jurisdictions, rates are capped. In others, they're set by the market or by contract. There is no single national price tag, and any documentary claiming otherwise is lying to you. Here's the part that surprises people most. A tow company doesn't need thousands of daily customers to build a serious business. A smaller number of higher-value jobs, paired with recurring contracts, storage fees, and specialized services, can add up to something much bigger than picking up broken cars. So, if the tow itself isn't the whole story, where does the rest of the money actually come from? Start with the place most people forget the second they walk out of the lot. A tow happens once. It's a single event. Pick up, drop off, done. Storage doesn't work that way. Picture the lot at night. Rows of vehicles sitting silently behind a fence, floodlights buzzing overhead, a security camera slowly panning across bumpers and windshields. Nothing is moving. And that's exactly the point. A tow is one-time service revenue. Storage is time-based revenue. The vehicle just sits there, and legally applicable storage charges can keep accumulating with every day it stays. The tow truck stops moving, but the meter may keep moving. Running that lot isn't free either. There's land, security, insurance, staff, maintenance, and compliance paperwork that has to be handled correctly, or the business opens itself up to serious liability. Storage isn't pure profit falling out of the sky. It's a second business stacked on top of the first, with its own costs and its own rules, which vary heavily by state and by locality. But storage is not even the most interesting part. Picture a dispatch center at 6 a.m., phones lighting up, screens tracking trucks across a city map. But most of these calls aren't coming from panicked strangers on the side of the highway. They're coming from the same handful of names over and over. Auto clubs, insurance companies, repair shops, dealerships, trucking companies, property managers, municipalities, law enforcement agencies with towing contracts, roadside assistance networks. This changes the entire shape of the business. Instead of sitting around waiting for a random driver to break down, a company can build a pipeline of guaranteed, repeating work. The biggest customer may not be the person sitting behind the steering wheel. One fleet account can generate calls every week. One property management contract can produce ongoing towing activity month after month. One relationship with a roadside network can mean a steady stream of dispatches without a single ad ever being run. That's why these contracts matter so much. They bring predictability, volume, and operational efficiency, and they dramatically lower the cost of finding new customers. A driver stranded on the highway is a one-time transaction. A signed contract is a relationship. Now picture something bigger than a sedan. A semi-truck jackknifed on an icy shoulder. A city bus that slid into a ditch. Construction equipment stuck axle deep in mud. A car flipped on its roof after a rollover. None of that comes off the road with a standard flatbed. It takes heavy-duty rotators, specialized winches, trained operators who know how to stabilize a vehicle without making the wreck worse, and equipment that can cost dramatically more than an ordinary tow truck. That's where the phrase barrier to entry earns its keep. A small operator with one flatbed can compete for ordinary passenger car jobs all day long. But a company with heavy-duty rigs, certified operators, and standing contracts is competing in a completely different category, one with far less competition and rates that reflect the equipment, training, and risk involved. The bigger the machine required, the smaller the pool of companies capable of doing the job. Rain hammers the windshield. Red and blue lights strobe across wet pavement. Two cars, crumpled, steam rising off one of the engines. A tow truck eases in behind the flare pattern, and the driver steps out into the storm. This is a different kind of job entirely. Accident recovery can involve winching a car out of a ditch, clearing debris where legally permitted, transporting the wreck to a repair facility, storing it, and coordinating with insurers or fleet operators on the other end. It's not simple, and it's not automatically lucrative. It's often expensive and operationally demanding, with real risk involved in every recovery. But here's the detail that reshapes the whole relationship. Insurance changes who's actually paying. The person standing at the scene, shaken and cold, isn't always the one who ends up settling the bill. Somewhere behind that tow is a web of contracts, dispatch agreements, and reimbursement processes between the towing company and an insurance provider. A business relationship that has almost nothing to do with the driver standing in the rain. Daylight now. A property manager walks a parking lot at an apartment complex, checking permit stickers on windshields one by one. This is where towing becomes a service contract, not a rescue. Apartment complexes, shopping centers, and commercial properties hire towing companies to enforce their parking rules. No permit, no reserved spot, no problem, according to whatever local law and the signed contract allow. But this is also the part of the industry that generates the most public frustration. Signage requirements, proper authorization, fee caps, and notice requirements all vary by location, and disputes happen when any of those pieces are handled sloppily, or, in rare cases, abusively. When a business model depends on rules people don't think about until the moment they're enforced, emotions run high. That doesn't make every private property tow predatory. It means this corner of the industry runs on trust and regulation in equal measure. And when either one slips, that's when a routine service starts looking like something else entirely. Some cars in that impound lot never get picked up. Weeks pass, then months. Nobody calls, nobody shows up. Depending on the jurisdiction, an unclaimed vehicle can eventually become eligible for disposal through a legally prescribed process. Auction, salvage, a lien-based transfer of ownership, whatever the applicable law dictates. This is not a company simply deciding to keep a car it likes the look of. Exact procedures depend heavily on state and local law, and they typically come loaded with requirements: certified notifications to the last known owner, waiting periods, public auction rules, paperwork trails that regulators can audit. Yes, the vehicle itself may carry residual value once the process plays out, but that value comes wrapped in legal obligations, administrative costs, notification requirements, and real risk if any step is skipped. It is not free money falling into a company's lap. It's simply one more piece of the ecosystem, and one of the most tightly regulated. Step back for a second. Because the real secret of this business isn't hiding in any single fee. It's hiding in repetition. One truck, one driver, one dispatch system, one storage lot. That setup can handle a handful of jobs a day. Now multiply it. Multiple trucks, multiple drivers, multiple standing contracts, multiple storage spaces, multiple revenue streams running at the same time off the same infrastructure. This is operating leverage, and it's not complicated. Once the fixed costs, the yard, the dispatch software, the base staff already covered, each additional job can contribute more toward profit, even though every single job still carries its own variable costs in fuel, labor, and wear on the equipment. Ask any owner in this business what keeps them up at night, and it isn't the price of a single tow. It's this question: how do I keep the trucks moving? An idle tow truck sitting in the yard generates nothing. That's why utilization, how efficiently a company uses its trucks, drivers, and lot space, quietly becomes one of the most important numbers in the entire operation. Put it all together now: the tow, the storage, the contracts with insurers, fleets, and property managers, the specialized recovery equipment, the accident scene coordination, the private property enforcement, the legally regulated process for unclaimed vehicles. None of that shows up in the 90 seconds you spend watching a flatbed pull your car onto its ramp. The tow truck is not the business. It's the doorway into the business. And once you see that pattern here, you start noticing it everywhere. The coffee shop isn't just selling coffee, it's selling real estate, loyalty programs, and merchandise. The gym isn't just selling workouts, it's selling memberships nobody uses. The visible product is rarely where the real economics are concentrated. It's just the door you walk through to get inside. Back to that parking lot, back to that driver, standing under a light pole, staring at an empty space where his car used to be. Next time you see a tow truck rolling down the highway, what do you actually see? Not just a truck, a mobile service business, a logistics operation, a fleet management system, a storage business, a contract business, and in some cases, a tightly regulated vehicle recovery ecosystem operating quietly in the background of everyday American life. Because in business, the thing customers see is often only the surface. The real money is usually hiding underneath. If you want us to expose another ordinary business that secretly operates like a money machine, subscribe and comment the business you want us to investigate next.